2560. The Banished have come to Suban, the Blood Moon of Sanghelios, seeking to claim the unique natural resource within its vast mines, the beautiful but volatile Subanese crystals. The swords of Sanghelios and their Spartan allies face an overwhelming force on the ground, while a Sangheli shipmistress in the skies above seeks to find a weakness in the enemy's armor that might turn the tide against these invaders. Battle for the Blood Moon takes place in early 2560, in the wake of the events of Halo Outcasts and the opening of Halo Infinite, where the UNSC Infinity is ambushed by the Banished, and Cortana sacrifices herself, moving Zeta Halo into slipspace.
Original story written by the Halo franchise team of Halo Studios. We thank Halo Studios for continuing to tell grand stories within Halo's universe and dedicate this series as a love letter to their efforts. Jumperscape Audio and Scion Esports present Stories from Waypoint. Episode 11, Battle for the Blood Moon. Posted first on Halo Waypoint, November 27th, 2023.
Shipmistress Mahkee Chava scrutinized the large tactical holograph of Suban at the center of the bridge, a cavernous command chamber that shared a similar design model to the Swadar pattern corvette. The spacious interior was lined with several rows of control consoles for the various systems that define the blockade runner as a strong and swift interdictor. Unfortunately, the swiftness was not currently being put to use in the way Mahkee wished. Instead of charging the Banished ranks with a coordinated assault, Mahkee had been ordered to hold a distance from the enemy dreadnought and comprehensively assess the situation. Scorin's blade, like all Hekar pattern blockade runners, was outfitted with advanced stealth generators and an onboard hyperscanner reverse-engineered from recovered Forerunner material. In theory, these systems could work in concert, allowing them to obtain detailed internal scans of unsuspecting enemy vessels, but their use had been limited during the time of the Covenant. Hyperscanners provided an overwhelming amount of information, which Mahkee guessed would likely have been filtered by the Forerunner's own artificial intelligences, something that the Prophets, in their infinite wisdom, had significantly curtailed. The swords of Sanghelios, on the other hand, bore no such prejudice against artificial life, even as the constructs had risen up against their human creators and sought to impose their own will upon the galaxy. But Mahkee didn't need an AI to operate that system. She had something just as effective.
Status, DibDib.
We got the latest knowns on the Big Bad Dreadnought ship, mistress. Sending it to the main holograph now.
Excellent news. Tilk, bring Scorin's blade back to minimum safe distance.
As you say, shipmistress.
And what of our forces on the ground?
The Spartan fire team Jorogumo have linked with Fleetmaster Kolol's forces. They're advancing on the mines of Shwari.
Keep a close eye on them. Any number of things could go wrong in that place.
As Scorin's blade pulled back, Mahkee returned her attention to the central holograph of Suban and tightened her jaw mandibles. Though the Banished had dared to come to the system at all was galling enough, but the Blood Moon of Sanghelios was her home. She and her brothers had been raised here since they were hatchlings, and she allowed herself a momentary feeling of relief that the two of them were currently on Sanghelios itself to inspect the latest products of the Kolar Manufactorum. Wily though they were, neither Silset nor Oberon were fighters, and they were certainly not what any Sangheli would call traditional in any sense. Somewhat ironically, that had all gone to her. Mahkee did not possess the patience for the political maneuverings, complex trade deals, and clan management that had largely served as the civil duty of Sangheli females. Ever since she had been a hatchling, her mother had said that her veins ran with the fire and blood of Suban itself, and her calling had come when the Arbiter declared that military service for the swords of Sanghelios would be open to all. Indeed, she had been surprised to learn that even the Ungoi could ascend to the rank of shipmaster, upon querying why one of the Xanar pattern light cruisers attached to their fleet was named Bad Gas. Returning to the holograph, Mahkee flicked her wrist and the projected image of Suban dissipated. This made way for the latest tactical scans of the dreadnought that was the center of all Banished activity in this region. Scanner Master DibDib's work on the hyperscanner had even identified the name of the vessel, ghost of Baralon. The holograph highlighted its suite of armaments, filling Mahkee with dread. Scorin's blade was heavily outgunned by the monumental monstrosities the Banished had brought to bear. The dreadnoughts were a physical representation of their rapid rise to power, while many of the swords of Sanghelios' own warships reflected ancient patterns connected to their pre-Covenant history. Admirable as that pursuit was for the spirit of the Sangheli, these patterns were largely outdated and could not match either the firepower or tonnage of these crimson-armored ogres. Suban was more than just a home for Mahkee. The onset of the Blooding Years that had come to define this period of the Sangheli had turned the moon into a place of neutral safe harbor. And before that, going back to a time before their millennia of service to the Covenant, Suban had been held as a sacred point of convergence for the wills of their most ancient gods, traditions, doctrine, and faith that had been secretly preserved from the long and treacherous reach of the prophets. But hundreds of drop bases had already been deployed from Baralon's underbelly, enough to establish immediate occupational infrastructure on one of Suban's most fertile mining sites. She knew, of course, that every data point about the enemy was valuable, and that the time would come to coordinate a retaliatory strike. The competent shipmaster knew the value of patience and the cost of acting prematurely before understanding the bigger picture. In this, Mahkee's discipline did not blunt nor sublimate her instinct for battle, but instead served as a whetstone for it. For now, she would watch, she would wait, and she would find the gap in the armor of the Banished that would win the day for her people. Until then, she turned her mind to the joint operation that was taking place on the ground. Spartans and sword forces working together in a combined arms effort. Their joint temerity and prowess would make its mark. Of that, Mahkee was certain. She had, after all, fought alongside the humans' living legends before, when she had ferried Spartan Jameson Locke and his fire team into battle to help the Arbiter bring a decisive end to Jewel and Dama's covenant. Scores of Banished troops against a handful of Spartans and swords of Sanghelios warriors. Centering her mind and mustering her confidence amidst the uncertainty, Mahkee thought with determined resolution that those were indeed sorrowful odds for their enemies.
What do you see?
At least 2 docking platforms. Regular cycle of fork buckets coming in and out of the extraction sites.
So much bounty. Need no scope to see this.
Nobody's bending your quills, Dahks. Besides, we have more than one way to get a better look at things.
Dahks, sync your optics to the Spartan drone. They will be your eyes inside. Remain here as Overwatch, but keep communication channels active.
Ready to flag in Jirav and Jin?
Yes. Let them know that we will be in position shortly and that Orim can bring his Phantom in. Our time will be narrow.
Can you confirm its authenticity?
The signature is confirmed, Shipmistress. Orim Kasaan is aboard the vessel of origin.
Contact the Summit Masters. Ensure we have Banshee Talons in a ready formation at the appropriate coordinates.
Shipmistress, we are receiving another transmission. This is from the Shipmaster of the Banished Dreadnought.
Put it through.
Greetings, Shipmistress. I am Orna Fulsam, High Warlord of the Banished.
A Sangheli.
I do not know of you, and am unmoved by any such title. What is it you want?
By now you have undoubtedly grasped the extent of our current forces and firepower, and you know there is no victory to be had through conventional battle.
Your fleet possesses certain advantages. That is true. I hope you did not trouble my preparations to counter them just to inform me of this.
No, I have come to ask you to avoid further unnecessary bloodshed of our own kind.
Peace talks with a traitor? So you have come here to jest?
We need not be foes. Step aside. Give us Suban, and your forces shall be spared. Better yet, pledge your allegiance to the Banished, and the only ones that need perish are the demons that desecrate the ground of Suban.
The Spartans?
The humans. They are the true architects invites them to our home to solve his own problems.
Your hatred is tinged with madness, Shipmaster.
You do not sense the truth of it.
Quiet, Matt, Spartan.
I see them. They're all yours, you two.
The Banished.
Certify stage completion with Storin's blade. Talons are free.
Confirmed. Honor to Into. Wings Zeshk and Siktar are on approach.
Orim, you're clear.
For Sanghelios!
As the forces departed the Phantom, each set immediately to the task at hand. They were easily outnumbered, but the swords had taken advantage of the chaos and surprise to even the playing field as much as possible. Among them were two more Spartans from Jorogomo, Jarov and Jin, ready to take the fight directly to the Banished. Jarov and Jin had eliminated several enemy soldiers and were already engaged with the next incoming wave. They were joined by a hulking elite named Kawamoto, whose hunched form and slightly broader physique belied his deft skills with an energy sword.
All your antics, but for naught.
Chieftain Ipso. It's no surprise to see him so directly involved. We've had several teams tailing his extended pack, and it never takes long for us to lose his scent. He will not be a trivial opponent.
How does it feel to see your world burn? And for your own kind to be holding the match while we bask in its glow.
You speak like one with experience in such a thing. Have you become more comfortable with wielding words than heaving a hammer?
An excellent question to be sure. Why don't we find its answer?
Chieftain Ipso's two captains opened fire, the ravages splashing searing hot plasma across the quarry floor, prompting Fahl to dive into an evasive roll. Three allied Sangheli warriors leapt to his aid and engaged the brutes, catching one in the shoulder with well-placed plasma from a pulse carbine. The same swords operative was smeared across the nearby rock face by the force of Ipso's gravity hammer. Leveraging every bit of his vast experience, Fahl used cunning and more than a few deft maneuvers to maintain whatever advantage he could. All the while, the firefight continued to rage around him, each warrior intensely occupied with a constant flow of enemy engagement. And finally, after several minutes and several decades, the extent of Fahl Nto's time-honored skill came up just short. He took a dull Ravager blade at the shoulder as he thrust his energy dagger through the second captain's mouth, but the exchange cost Fahl time he didn't have. The sudden impact of the chieftain's swift kick to the chest sent Fahl sprawling. He landed hard, his helmet dislodged, and tumbled away. He had only just made it back to his knees when the shadow of his enemy made him look up. Dazed, Fahl felt Ipso's massive form looming over him, his hammer at the ready. And Fahl Nto realized his time had finally come. He was a warrior. He had known it would happen eventually. As Ipso roared, bringing the weapon up and back down in a swift circular arc, Fahl knew with absolute certainty it would reach him. Spartan Glyyss. Fahl saw red blood begin to pool on the other side of the visor.
Why?
On your feet, Nato!
We cannot leave. If we give quarter here, we will surely lose Soiree to the Banished. The blood spilled here will have been for naught.
There are many things that distinguish us from the Banished in this conflict. We will return when the time is right.
Humanity is the ruinous common thread at the heart of this galaxy.
Mahkee wasn't sure how long Orna had been speaking. It was likely only a few moments, but felt like it might as well have been months.
With the Arbiter's failure to secure the first of the sacred rings, the humans began to unravel everything we worked so hard to achieve. It was the humans who destroyed Sapin Khal, wiping out a combined fleet that would have seen the Sangheli emerge as the dominant power in the galaxy, thus forcing us to collude with the vermin to defeat the Prophet of Truth. It was the humans' own meddling that brought about the Blooding Years. The state of Vadam itself is scarred with the evidence. Even now, their own creations rebel against them because they were built to live in the shackles they sought to break. Do you not see? We are living in their battle song, Shipmistress. The Arbiter's guilt is so great that he would allow them to swarm the galaxy just to soothe his conscience.
Yet you have joined with the Banished, which allies with humans, rather than one of the many Covenant remnant groups.
Even vermin can prove useful. They are so easy to turn against each other.
Then perhaps they are not so different from Sangheli.
Think on my words, Shipmistress. I shall leave my offer open to you until our next round of battle. And I have a request that you pass a message to your fleet master from Atriox himself.
What message would you have me trouble Fleet Master Khalul with?
Tell him that Let Valir sends his regards.
Original stories are available on Halo Waypoint. All rights to Halo belong to Halo Studios and Microsoft. Get connected with the team at jumperscape.com. Stories for Waypoint is presented by Scion Esports. Find their events and opportunities at scionesports.com.